Domantas Sabonis has had a very good season this so far, and he's playing at a all-star level, most would say. So, what level do you think Domantas Sabonis is playing at, and do you think that he, along with Malcolm Brogdon, can take the Indiana Pacers to that next level?
Yeah. So with Domantas Sabonis, I think that Malcolm Brogdon would honestly be more likely to take them to the next level, simply because I feel that in the situation that Domantas Sabonis is in, he's playing the wrong position. He plays the four. He starts at the power forward position for the team. And that's because they already have Miles Turner, who is the best rim protector on the team and one of the best rim protectors in the league. So it kind of leaves room for it puts Sabonis in an awkward place because he's 6'11", 240 some odd pounds, has a post game, and is one of the best screen setting dribble handoff bigs in the entire NBA. Maybe the best when it comes to things like dribble handoffs, maybe the best. So obviously he doesn't have the skill set of a three, doesn't have the foot speed of a three, and the five position is already occupied. So at the power forward position, I feel like for the foreseeable future, he is indeed capped out, because the only thing that he really can provide offensively from that forward position is the ability to set good screens, dribble handoffs, post ups on decent efficiency, because keep in mind, post ups in general are just not, back to the basket is not an efficient thing to go to as a number one option. The only player really that I can think of that's excelled as a number one option for post ups is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And, you only see players like that once every so often. So under the new coach, Nate Bjorken, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name.
I think so as well, yeah.
The Pacers have gone from second in the league to mid-range shots, most of those being long twos, to third to last, or 27th. And that's because Nate Bjorken spent some time with the coaching staff over in Toronto. And, they definitely have a nice forward-thinking style of basketball, pretty modern approach to the game. And they just he's not having those long twos. And that's what Sabonis last year really ate off of. He shot 45% on mid-range shots last year. This year, he's shooting 19% in the mid-range. And that's because they're literally pushing all the actions back out to the three-point line, which is just not really a place where I don't think he just simply belongs. Miles Turner is a much better overall stretch big than Sabonis. Sabonis has so much more of a varied, robust skill set, but it's kind of, like I said, he's in an awkward place. They don't really need him to play the four. Honestly, I think the team would be better served with Malcolm Brogdon getting threes up, getting to the rim, and pick and roll, pick and pop situations with Miles Turner, and have more of a mobile four-man, kind of like a small ball four, like a JaMychal Green, Michael Porter Jr., Jeremy Grant, that type of four-man to improve their perimeter defense, because honestly, the interior is already good enough. And it's just too much redundancy down there with Sabonis, who is not really the most vertical or intimidating presence at the rim. But I will say this. There are a lot of things that he does well, and we'll get to that. But I wanted to go ahead and answer your question first, because like I said, with this team at the power forward position, honestly, other than shoot the three better and just continue to hit threes, he's shooting 36% this year, 2.3 attempts a game. I feel like he can keep doing what he's doing. Like I said, his dribble handoffs are great. His vision is great for a four-man. He handles the ball pretty well, but at the same time, I don't see him being an intimidating presence in the paint, nor do I see him being an excellent perimeter defender. So like I said, if he gets the three-point shooting down, I certainly think that can elevate them to consistently make it past the first round of the playoffs if he can become more of a stretch big, kind of like how we've seen Brook Lopez has done throughout his career. But yeah, at the current rate, you see his free throws kind of linger around 72%, three-pointer around 30%. Yeah, if he can get that up to 35, 36% and continue to build on that, I certainly do think that yes, he can elevate this team and help them move forward. But I don't know how realistic that is. You see what I'm saying? So
I wouldn't say that Sabonis is necessarily capped out. I would just say that I don't think that the forward position or the power forward position would be the best fit for him.
mhm.
Because number one, you talked about some offensive stuff. I looked at a lot of on defense because offensively, I feel like Sabonis is a very excellent player. He can shoot mid range, but like you explained, the new system there, they don't really like long twos. They would prefer paint shots or 3-point shots. So, you know, we even talked about this earlier. He's shooting, I think, 18% from the mid range, about 15 and, and and out before you get to the 3-point lines.
Mhm.
Whereas last year he was shooting in the 40s, correct? Somewhere
45.
around 45. So yeah, so I feel like that's a pretty big change for a guy to go from being comfortable shooting the ball at the mid range and then having to kind of miss a whole level of a spot that you can score on the floor. On defense, I feel like he just doesn't move well enough to guard on the perimeter. And in today's game, that's going up and down, there's a lot more versatile and mobile fours that you would have to go up against, especially in the Eastern Conference as well as the Western Conference. You hit the nail on the head with Miles Turner. I think he's leading the league in blocks again. Last time I checked, he's one of the top shot blockers in the game right now. So you don't really
Mhm.
need more interior defense. I wouldn't say Sabonis is necessarily a shot blocker though, or a rim protector. He can block some shots, but I don't think the four position is the best spot for him. I feel like at the five with his skill set, especially on offense, because offensively, I really like his game.
Mhm.
He can post up, he can shoot. And honestly, Chris, he's one of the best passing big men, I think, in the league right now. So I
Mhm.
just feel like the five position would be optimal for his game, and that's where he would probably thrive more. But I do think, like you said, if he can shoot the ball a lot better from three than what he is now, and if he could probably be able to create his own shot a little bit more, but I don't think that that's really their system. So I really just shooting the ball for me. If he could do that, it could probably help this team. But defensively, he's a guy that is in the right place at the right time. I think for the most part, or tries to be. I just feel like he's not as athletic or quick enough to keep up with most four man in the league right now. You know, over the course of a whole game.
Now, some teams that I do think that he would do well with, or some coaches that I think he would have better chemistry with, are guys like Greg Popovich, Frank Vogel, Tom Thibodeau, guys who really don't mind post ups, who actually welcome it. Honestly, don't necessarily care as much for the analytics of trying to improve your offensive rating. More so, just have a varied, unpredictable offense, which kind of does have its ups and downs. Like typically you see the Bucks, they're like number one offense every year because they literally just spread the whole court out and let either they just run pick and roll or just ISO, or they have actions, but at the end of the day, the spacing is just so great that they have on that team. It allows you to have a great offensive rating, a top 3 offensive rating every year. They should. But the thing is, when you talk about skilled players with a robust skill set, those players' percentages tend to stay more consistent in different scenarios. So if you were to put Sabonis against a different, like a zone versus just a man defense, or you put like just different sorts of defensive coverages around him, I think that he's more likely to be able to still thrive and make something happen over a guy like Giannis. Don't get me wrong, Giannis is probably still going to have the better stats because dunks are still going to be more efficient than post hooks. But at the end of the day, I feel like Sabonis can still stay in his element with a coach like Greg Popovich or Frank Vogel, more so than new coach Nate B. I'm gonna say Nate B. I'm gonna say so. I was that, and now let me talk about some of the things that I noticed that are very good about his game as well that I didn't say earlier. I think he does a great job of keeping his hands up. And I like that because a lot of bigs, that's something that people forget. You know, the ones who are super talented, super mobile. I love how Sabonis always has his hands out, ready to play a pass, ready to block a shot, ready to get in the lane. He has great hands. Excellent when it comes to deflections, when it comes to just picking people's pockets. He has good anticipation for that stuff. And I feel like that's something, like I said, a coach like Frank Vogel who can surround him with a good defensive system. Honestly, I think he can be a really good defender at the center position if he was to go to a team like the Lakers. Obviously, assuming AD will that's a whole nother thing to work out. Not necessarily their roster, but just the coach itself and their philosophy. So I like that about him, and I like how strong he is. He's absolutely like he's strong. He's lean. He's rarely ever off balance. Yes, he does get beat off the dribble a lot, but I will say that I've seen a lot of guys who can stay in front of people. And probably the biggest case that I've seen of a guy who can move, but still is just terrible on defense is Marvin Bagley. He's very fast for a 7-footer. But the fact of the matter is his core strength is so lacking that he can't stay in front of anybody because he just can't hold his position. He can't root himself into the ground the same way that Sabonis does, if that makes sense. So Sabonis is on balance and under control. His head is moving side to side. He's surveying things, ready to sniff out actions before they happen. And I think that will definitely carry over to a championship team.
But yeah, also something else though, Chris, TJ Warren, he's also been out for the majority of the season. So I think especially him being a scorer can also help the Indiana Pacers.
TJ Warren is probably more of the smoothest shot creator on the team that has a variety of step backs and different things like that, up and unders and little moves, not very athletic, but just knows how to put the ball in the basket. Karis LeVert is probably the most aggressive, athletic type slasher of the three. Justin Holiday, about 6'6", shooter type of guy, a shooter. And then you got Malcolm Brogdon, who's also about 6'6", 6'7", so that would definitely be interesting because, yes, Sabonis might not have to shoot as much if they get all of those guys back and working in synergy, but we'll just see when they all get back healthy.